Okay, Bob, thanks so much for taking the time.
You're very welcome.
I understand you are a integral member of the Ethereum Classic Cooperative? Or?
That's right. I run a non-profit which supports the Ethereum Classic ecosystem. ETC, I guess the lesser known brother of the main Ethereum project. So ETC is a proof of work based alternative to ETC, which has been around since 2016.
Talk to me a little bit about how that was received in the ETH community, and why did it emerge in fact?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the thing with all of these different projects is, people have different preferences and affinities. As humans, we form these communities or groups or clubs or nationalities or companies. All of these are commonalities which fulfill like a social function for us. I saw something that was saying shared delusions are a social scaling mechanism for humans. That we're used to living in these smaller groups. You hear the Dunbar number that whatever, about 100 people is about as many as you can have a relationship with, and beyond that, traditionally it'd be like, oh, those people over there, it's the others, it's us and the others. But the way that humans have scaled is in these affinity groups. So you're like, oh, I'm British. Oh, you're British as well. Oh, right. And you assume you've got something in common, and you've got this level of trust. I mean, it's just a delusion. Whether being English or Canadian or American or something makes you more common, it kind of doesn't matter. Or sports teams, same thing, right? Oh, you're a Liverpool fan. Oh, yeah, I am. We have these shared commonalities in all kinds of different areas. So I think that really is what happens in blockchain as well, is that you find your tribe. So what happened there really with Ethereum and ETC was what had been a single tribe. There was sort of a discovery that different subgroups within that had different priorities. So I mean, specifically on ETC, what happened there is you had this thing called the DAO, which was effectively like the first application on Ethereum, and it went horribly wrong. There was a hack, and it was like, disastrous situation. And then the question was, well, are you going to intervene? You've got an opportunity to like fix it. Are you going to fix it or not? And I guess the way I'd express it is probably a majority of that group saw Ethereum as a platform for applications. And so there's a bug. So it's a bug in the platform, you fix the platform. But the other subset of people there were really more Bitcoin, but more programmability. So it's money. And you don't move other people's money around. Like the whole point is it's an immutable ledger, and you can't have people interfering, and you own and control the stuff. So to that subset, it was like, well, no, it may be a bug, but that's how it is, right? You don't intervene, you don't bail out. We don't want slippery slope. If you intervene once, well, you're going to do it all the time, and we don't want a mob of people socially deciding to fix something. So you really had irreconcilable differences. And I think what was really wonderful with that incident is that was the first time ever that you had like a split, but both sides survived. Like that never happened before. The assumption was always, well, if you've got this, this split or difference, like one of the sides is going to win, and everyone will go, oh, right, okay, that was the answer, okay, so we'll, like, the other one just dies off. But with ETC, the subset was viable, the minority, and that was like this wonderful like realization of like a new thing in the world, right? Is like, if you don't like the result of the election, well, you can live in the alternate universe, right? Both can exist, right? The universe can get split in two, and the thing goes on, right? You don't have to have, a tyranny of the majority. Like, you can have both. So you can live in both worlds, right? If you see value on both sides, well, hey, you've got tokens on both. You can participate in both, or you can go, okay, I'm going one way or the other. So I think, to me, that was the most wonderful thing with that split, is it's kind of this really, democratic, great thing of saying, well, if you're in an unhappy marriage, you can, you don't have to live in misery forever, right? You can divorce. You have the right to secede from the union, that kind of stuff could happen within this ecosystem, which is just great, because to me, a whole point of blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies is that self-sovereignty, right? Of saying, you can't be compelled to do things which are against your own interests. You are self-sovereign within this ecosystem, and that also includes, within that ecosystem, if you have got people who want to go one way and some want to go the other, like that can happen, right? You're not compelled to do things. You're not. You have that sovereignty.
But do you? I mean, it's 10 years on now. I assume there was some pushback at the time. Is there any residual animosity between those two tribes after nowadays,
I think some people.
Do you see attacks as well on each other? In terms of technological.
Nothing substantial. I think a lot of people on the Ethereum side, they don't even think about ETC anymore. It's just, oh yeah, those guys, and they went and did that, and that's not problematic. But a simple practical example of not having that divergence is for maintenance of the client software. So, the software that you need for running Ethereum versus running ETC is very, very similar. So, a lot of the time, the engineers working on this stuff, they're working very closely together. They're tracking what the other people are doing. And, so on the Ethereum Classic side, people working on ours, they're contributing changes back, and they're working. And it's like, okay, yeah, you've got these two separate, worlds happening on a social level. But that doesn't mean, you hate each other and don't talk to each other, and the engineers are like, screw them guys.
Has a DAO type structure emerged on the ETC that is organising and funding development, etc.?
There's some little bits on that front, but yeah, not so much. It's not like, there's any kind of, we don't like DAOs or anything. But in general, ETC is a lot smaller of an ecosystem, so there are less projects and things happening. But
who's the head honcho there then? If Vitalik's the guy on Ethereum, who's the?
Well, I'm the most known, but I'm not the head honcho in any kind of meaningful way. And to be honest, that isn't really the case for Vitalik. That might be the perception externally, is, here you've got the dictator for life of Ethereum, and everything he's saying and doing is law. But that really isn't the case either. I've known Vitalik for a lot of years myself, because prior to my work on Ethereum Classic, I actually worked for the Ethereum Foundation. I was working in that ecosystem for many years as well. And Vitalik, he's one of the most selfless, humble, giving of his time guys you can imagine, and he absolutely is not like a dictator. People probably do listen to him too much. It's if he thinks that, I better subdue myself. But yeah, the thought of a single person being the leader I mean, that really isn't the case in most of the credible, crypto ecosystems.
But you do see it, yeah, you do see it occur where so many people are looking up to this person, regardless of what power they have amongst the tribes, and
Yeah.
every tweet they make is misinterpreted or interpreted as other
Yeah,
individuals
yeah.
wish. So it's quite like, and that I assume that weighs heavy on a creator of a chain or a token's mind, right?
Yeah,
What kind
yeah.
of pressures they go through.
Well, yeah, people in those positions, they have to be like aware of the weight of their own words. That they may just say something and it's quite, throwaway for them. But you have got people, hanging on their every word. And I mean, that's certainly the case for a lot of the newer projects that are, like VC backed. And it really is an individual or team coming with a vision, gathering funding for that, and going and building it. And nearly always, you've only got a single team. You've got, here's the foundation, we raise the money, we've got the money, we hire the developers, and it's really often not very different to a conventional company. It's kind of like, hey, here's a startup and we've got a team and we're building a product.
But I guess the distinction there is that people call it dumb money, retail money, making up like large quantity of these startup.
Right.
So in the regular economy, you can only use the VC's money, and they have plenty to play with.
Yes.
Whereas Tim, Bob, and Jane, who are just young people, South Korea or whatever, Australia, they're kind of throwing around their hard-earned wages into these things. So they're getting wrapped up into a world which traditionally belonged to professional or experienced investors at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and it is, it's a dangerous bet a lot of the time. I mean, startups in general, they've got a huge failure rate, let alone if you combine that into being in a frontier technology in an unregulated, market, then it's like, whew, YOLO, off we go, hope for the best. But yeah, even where you have got an ecosystem, like Bitcoin or Ethereum, some of the, the better known people, they have got a really heavy kind of weight on their heads to tread this line, right, between, supporter, advocate, leader versus, oh gosh, I've turned into a tyrant, and everyone's just like, listening to me way too much. That's kind of hard.
And I've been over the last 12 months. I've spent quite a bit of time with what they refer to themselves as degens.
Right. Yeah.
And these people are obviously often anonymous, and like they play in these shitcoin casinos, they call them.
Yeah.
And I've just been completely blown away by the diversity in these. I've interviewed a lot of them as well, and I'm just curious, like, what's your take on the degen culture? And there's even something called regen as well, which I came to understand just recently, which I need yet to explore in great detail. But I understand it's leveraging some of this degen casino behavior that already occurs, but towards a common good.
Yeah,
or goal.
public goods. Yeah. So I guess for a lot of that degen culture, I'd say that's more prevalent than you would expect or kind of like desire, I guess. But I think really a lot of that is just to do with lack of opportunities financially in the broader economy. That sort of the stability that perhaps some of our parents' generations had of, so get a job and, and then you're going to get married and buy a house and then, probably like single income, work for a company a certain amount of time and you've got your retirement savings and you go, right? And that's all very smooth. I mean, I think, that is not the reality for a lot of us now. And it's like, okay, you're going to get like an index fund, are you? Or a mutual fund? Like, that's not even going to track inflation. So I think this is where a lot of this risk appetite comes from, is If you look back over the last 10, 15 years at the kind of, returns that anyone buying Bitcoin or so on, they dwarf any other asset. So it's rational to be very interested in crypto. Maybe older people will be like, oh, why are you taking this much risk? Why don't you just do a safe thing? And it's like, well, a safe thing is useless. I mean, I can give you an example for myself. Was my wife and I opened some retirement savings plans a few years ago, and it's like, oh, I guess we should do like some sort of conventional thing as well as all the crypto. And not only was it a massive painful thing of like going to the branch and spending hours there with this advisor opening this thing and all these sheets of paper and everything, I think we made or lost $100 over 2 years. It was nothing. The whole thing, we could have just kept, notes of, paper under the bed, and it would have been better. And you're just thinking, well, why would anyone waste their time doing this stuff? When you can have a 1 day fluctuation in the crypto market, and that's 2 years of that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that degen stuff is well, look, we don't have the opportunities, and so hey, let's buy a shit coin and off we go. And especially if you're younger, right? Because it's just okay, it doesn't work out, that's fine, just keep doing that. And yeah, on the regen side, I think that's that's certainly a lot personally more interesting to me, is using these technologies which are really kind of social economic tools to raise funds for public goods and for virtuous circle, circular economy, all of these kind of things I guess that would be seen as more kind of altruistic, charity-ish kind of activities, but in a way which can be personally beneficial as well.